Today's daf is Masechtas Nazir Daf Lamed Beis. So we are in the Mishnah, 12 lines from the bottom, Lamed Aleph from the Beis, right in the middle of the line. The Mishnah is going to discuss Hektish and Naziris B'tois, if one made a mistake. Says the Mishnah, Misha Nadar Ben Nazir. Someone's becoming himself Naziris, and then he goes ahead, in the middle of Naziris, he drinks wine Be'isser, while he's a Nazir. And then V'nishal HaChacham, he goes to Chacham, and he asks the Chacham if he could matter his Naziris. Maybe he wasn't Makabel Naziris from the right Lashon or something like that. Maybe he wasn't a good Naziris anyway. And the Chacham tells him, you know what, everything looks fine. Kabbalah's Naziris is good, and your regular Nazir Gomer. So the halacha is, what do you do with those days that he drank wine? And some of the time he drank wine Be'isser. The halacha is, like the Mishnah, Moine Mishasha Nadar. The Nazir counts days in Naziris from the time that he's Makabel himself Naziris. So even though there were days that he was over Naziris, it's fine. He counts regular Naziris from the day that he was Makabel Naziris, and he does not have to make up those days that he did Be'isser. It doesn't have to be Mashal. Nishal l'chacham v'yitiru. What happens if the Chacham, he went to the Chacham, the Matar Naziris, and the Chacham said, he's Matar Naziris. He said, okay, Mutter. Hoisaloi behema freshness, and at the time the Nazir had a behema, he set aside his mafresh for a carbon. The halacha is teitze v'sira be'eder. This animal goes out like a regular chulin animal, and because there's no Nazir's chal at all, and that freshest carbon is like a fresh b'tois. Amro Beis Hillel Beishamai. So Beis Hillel came along and told Beishamai, Iatem moidim bazeh shu hektish tois. Don't you agree in this case? That's hektish tois, and therefore the halacha is teitze v'sira be'eder. That the animal goes out and it just pastures like regular or mundane chulin because there's no hektish chal at all. So too, Zok Beis Hillel Beishamai, you should also agree with me in the case that we had in the Mishnah before. If someone says shor shach shiatzim beisi areu hektish, and it ends up that a shor lovin goes out and not a shor shachar, and the Machlokes B'Sham Beis Hillel said that it's kaddish anyway, and that was Shittas Beishamai. So why don't you agree there also? It's hektish b'tois, l'chara should be chol. It shouldn't be hektish. The lovin should not be hektish. He was only makdish the shachar. So Amar lehem Beishamai told us a little back that atem moidim b'mi shata. So they were trying to Beishamai told us a little back. How about I bring you a raya from this other halacha? Why? Because atem moidim b'mi shata v'kara l'chi asiri. Don't you agree with me that someone is mafresh meister behema, and he makes a mistake in his afrasha and he calls the 9th shar the 10th, v'la'asiri chi, and he calls the 10th one, he calls the 9th, ula'achar asar asiri, and the 11th one, what's really the 11th one, he calls the 10th. The halacha is shehu mukodesh, that one that he calls asiri is mukodesh, even though it was really the 9th or the 11th. Why? Because he called it Asiri, he called the name Asiri. So Ibazai is muchach, like we're saying, that even hektish b'tois, you see, is hektish. You see from that case. So Beishamai told us a little back. What do you mean? You see, hektish b'tois is still hektish. So maybe in our Mishnah by Shar Shachar, you should agree with me that it's hektish also. Hektish b'tois is hektish. Amilam Beis Hillel. So Beis Hillel told Beishamai that loy hashay v'kitchay. The reason why by Maisa Behema the hektish is chal, not because he put the stick on the Behema b'tois. Because if that was the reason, then you could ask Umay Luta V'niechas Hashevet al Shmini v'al Shneim Asar Shema Asa Klum. What would be the halacha if he puts that stick on the 8th or the 12th? Would you say also that's not anything? Is that hektish? So Elamai, what do you have to say? The reason why it's kaddish, Ella Kasav Hakidish Ha'asiri Hu Kiddish Hachi. It's a pasuk that's in Bekadish, the 10th shar. Al Yidei putting the shaved in it. So that same pasuk tells you that if he puts it on the 9th one and he calls it a Shem Asir, then it's also Kaddish. That's Achadas. And the same thing goes on the 11th. So he's saying that it's Gzeres HaKasav Bezak Beisol B'Shamai. The reason why that's Chal, because it's Gzeres HaKasav. The same pasuk that says putting the shaved on the 10th one makes it Kaddish. So it says if you make a mistake and put it on the 11th or 9th, it's also Kaddish. So he's saying can't bring a right to hektish b'tois is hektish, because over there it's Gzeres HaKasav to tell you that hektish b'tois But every other case would not have a raya. Ad kana Mishnah. Zok the Gemara. The Mishnah said that if someone's over on his Naziris and he counts from the day that he was Nadar. Shosha Nadar. He counts a regular Naziris, so it doesn't have to be mashal those days that he did Be'eser. So for who's the Mishnah going like? Who's the Tana of the Mishnah going like? Zok the Gemara. Loy Rabbi Yosi. Loy Rabbi Yosi. Loy Rabbanan. L'chayr not. She's Rabbi Yosi, not she's Rabbanan. What do they say? The Tanya will learn their Brayso. Misha Nadar. Rabbanan Naziris. It says in the Brayso, if somebody's Noider and he's Mekabel himself along Naziris, and he's over on his Naziris, on part of the Naziris he's over. And then he comes to Mater Naziris or to bring his Karbanas. Allah is Ein Iskakan Loi. We don't listen to him to Mater Naziris or to Mekabel's Karbanas, Ella Im Kein Moine Behen Iser. Unless he adds on days to his Naziris for the days that he was Noig Iser. So he has to make up those days. Kiyamim shenagam heter. So the days that was noyig heter and naziris, he has to add in those amount of days. So elam came might have been iser kiyamim shenagam heter. That's a tanakama. Rabbi Yosi Aimer daya shleishim yoyim. He doesn't have to add on all the days that he was noyig iser. It's enough for 30 days. So let's say it was noyig iser. He was over on the Naziris for 50 days. All he has to do is make up 30 days. It's a flat amount. Zokti Gemara, Ira Banan, if you want to say, if you want to say, our Mishnah is going, she's Rabbanon, Kasha, Naziris, Meruba. It's a Charetz Shver on Mishnah. Mishnah is mashma. You don't have to make up anything. And Rabbanon is saying that you have to make up whatever you know you guess, or Rabbi Yosi Kasha Mu'atis. If you say that our Mishnah is going like Rabbi Yosi, then it's Shver Rabbi Yosi, because Rabbi Yosi says that Naziris Mu'atis, you have to count the whole Naziris. So if a guy has a Nazir 30 days and a few of the days is Nayigas, according to Rabbi Yosi, you have to count a full 30 days again. So I could tell you that it's going to shoot Rabbi Yosi. I could make the Mishnah, our Mishnah stem the features of Rabban. Rabbi Yosi. If you want to tell me it's Rabbi Yosi, why? I'll tell you the Mishnah is talking about that he made a long Naziris, and therefore, so the Mishnah is talking about that he made a lot big Naziris, let's say 100-day Naziris, and part of the days he was over on the Naziris. So Dr. Mishnah, you have to count from the days Shanadar, meaning you don't have to start the whole Naziris again, you only have to do part of it, which is 30 days, which is what Rabbi Yosi says. So the Mishnah was saying, Mishah Shanadar, he's knowing Mishah Shanadar, it's saying that he has to count the 30 days, means the flat amount that Rabbi Yosi says you always have to count 30 days extra for being over on the Isser. It's like a knas. And the rest of the Naziris goes from the time that you're Nadar. That's what the Mishnah is saying. And Kam Naziris Mu'atas, however, the Brisa that says that you have to count 30 days is talking about that the guy who's only had Naziris Shalishim Yom, so then it says everything you have to do a whole 30 days Naziris. Iba is Tema the Rabbanon. If you want, I can tell you the Mishnah is going like the Rabbanon. And Sai Naziris Meruba and Sai Naziris Mu'atas, whether it's 100 days Naziris or 30 days Naziris, you have to be Noyig all the days that you're Noyig. You have to masham all the days that he was Noyig Heter, Be'isr, meaning even though he wasn't allowed to. And this that the Mishnah says that he's Moinim Mishasha Nazar, Loi Tema Mishasha Nazar, Ela Ema Kimi Shasha Nazar. The Vigur is Kimi Shasha Nazar, and it's talking about that he was over and drank Yayin Be'isr all the days in his ears, and the Saiser everything. And he has to recount again the whole Naziris from scratch, from the beginning. So the Mishnah is telling you, he's Moina Kimi Shasha Nazar. As if, from the time that he started his Naziris, I mean the whole thing is Nachal. Zok the Gemara Vaita, the Mishnah said, Nishalach Chacham v'tiru, if he asked the Chacham and they will matter his neder. So the Mishnah said that the Behema goes out l'chulat. Zok the Gemara Vaita, Amar Rabbi Yirmiyah, Zok Rabbi Yirmiyah, with Beishamai, from you see what Beishamai holds in this din of the Mishnah, Nishma the Beis Hillel. So you hear what Beis Shammai would hold in a Beis Hillel would hold in a similar din. Lav Amri, Beis Shammai, Hektish B'Tois, Have Hektish. Wouldn't Beis Shammai hold that Hektish B'Tois is Hektish? Why? Because we saw before that Beis Shammai holds that if it's Maktish Shashar Shachar, that goes out first, and L'Basai, if it came out that a white one went out, so we say that if he would have known, he would have not said anything about Shar Shachar. So we say that the Hektish is Chal even on the Lavan. Why? Because even Hektish B'Tois is Chal. And even so, in our Mishnah, when he's Shoyal on Naziris and the Chacham tells him that he wasn't Makabal himself in Naziris Lashon Aroi, saying Wataka wasn't a Naziris, and then the Chacham's matter, Beis Shammai hold, it came in the Gloy Milsad Lav Shaber Nazar, since the spire that it was not Makabal Naziris like he was supposed to, and Naziris B'Tois, halacha is Teitzei, V'Ser Be'eder. So Beis Shammai would hold that the Behema is Mafresh, is regular Chulin, and the freshest carbon is B'Tois. So from that, like the Gemara, we learn from that the Beis Hillel Nami, Avagam da Amri Tmur B'Tois Have Tmura, even though they agree to that in Beis Shammai that a Tmur B'Tois is a Tmura, but Lamaisa Hani Mili, when do they say that it's Hecha de Isei le'ikar hektish? It's only when you already had the ikar hektish, which is what the Tmura came from, and that's still around. Aval Hecha de Misaker, when the ikar hektish, when the ikar hektish gets uprooted because you're shy on it, and for instance, if you're makdash a behema for a carbon, and then you do Tmura with that behema, and then you're shayel to a chacham on the original hektish, and the chacham's mater that hektish, it's akar nami Tmura. Then in that case, Beis Hillel would agree that the Tmura would come to akar also. Why? Because the kedusha of the Tmura was totally in the first animal, and since it was paka, the kedusha from the first animal, so in Mela you'll say also that the Tmura will be chulin because it's as if he said Hari Behemizu Tmura's chulin. So therefore, both of them, the kedusha is paka. Both of them go to chulin. Zakti Gemara, Amar Mar. We learned in the Mishnah that Beis Shammai told Beis Hillel, Yata Moedim Shilukar L'Chia Siri. Then wouldn't you agree in that case that it's hektish? So l'chayr over here also. So Zakti Gemara, Itmar, we learned in a Brisa, we sent in the Beis HaMedrash, Machlokes, in the din of Meiser, that the Gabe being Mafresh Meiser Behema, and he called Asir the Chi. He called the 10th one the 9th, and the 11th one he called the 10th. So Rav Nachman Amar, Rav Nachman says to Usai that the Meiser is Chal Dafka if it was a tois of the Mafresh, the one that was making that frasha. If he thought that it was a 10th. V'loi kavanase, but not that if he knew that it was a 9th and he just did it bekavana, saying that it was a 10th. Why? Because this din that he's saying that the hektish is chal, even if it's karlach asira chili, or if he calls the 11th one the 10th, that's only gezeres hakasa if he does it by mistake, but not if he does it intentionally. So that's from Nachman Shita. Rav Chizda v'Rav Bar Huna Amri, Rav Chizda and Rav Huna, they argue and they say that Ma'aseh Behema is chal on the 9th to usay v'kol shim kavanasay. Say if it does it by mistake, and say if it does it intentionally. And the gezeres hakasa they hold is even if he does it intentionally. Amalei Rav Rav Nachman. So Rava asked on Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman was the one that said the whole gezeres hakasa of Ma'aseh Behema, the din of Ma'aseh Behema that's chal b'tois, is only if it's b'tois, not b'kavana. Fraktor Rav Nachman lididach da amrit ta'usay v'loy kavana. So according to Yeshita, that's only chal b'tois ma'aseh behema, not b'kavana. So l'chayr it's fair what it says in the Mishnah. The ka'amri b'sham Beis Hillel, because Beis Shammai tells Beis Hillel in the Mishnah, iyata moedim she'ilu kar la'chi asir la'asir chi la'achad asar asir shloshim kodashin. Beis Shammai told Beis Hillel, don't you agree that it's all mekudeshes? And maybe you should also agree with me here that hektish is chal b'tois v'shtiku Beis Hillel. And the Mishnah says, and you see that Beis Hillel was shaysik. They didn't have an answer to his raya. So if you want to say like Rav Nachman that the gezeres hakasav is only for betois, and not bekavana, so lamer lahoin, the Beis Hillel should answer Beis Shammai. Mala Meiser Shekinah Kadosh. Beis Hillel could have answered a very good answer to Beis Shammai. Could have told him, Mala, we bring me a ride from Meiser Behema. Shekinah Kadosh bekavana. Over there, when he calls Asiri, when he calls Asiri to the 9th seh bekavana, then l'chayr it's not chal in that case. It's only chal because it's betois. And why? Because it's gezeres hakasav. So maybe you can't learn out to that hektish should be chal betois. From the fact that you see that our Mishnah Beis Hillel did not answer that tshuva to Beis Shammai is muchach that it's chal even bekavana, not like Rav Nachman. So Amar Rav Sima Rashi, Hainatayim la'amar lohin. Rav Sima Rashi said no, maybe not true. Maybe from the Mishnah it's not a raya. The reason, so why did Beis Hillel was the answer to Beis Shammai that l'chayr walked to a raya from Ma'aseh Behema, it's only chal b'tois. Teretz is because Beis Shammai would have answered the kal v'chomer rule. Beis Shammai would have answered back to Beis Hillel the kal v'chomer. Ma ma'aseh she'enei kadosh bekavana. I would have told him ma ma'aseh not chal bekavana, and still it's kadosh when you do b'tois. A hektish it's chal bekavana. All koshkin it should be chal b'tois. That would have been Beis Shammai's answer. And in Mela, it's not sure why Beis Hillel didn't answer that. But Zakr V'Simim Rashi, V'lohi L'maisa it's not a kal v'chomer because you mafrich kal v'chomer. Why? The hektish b'daita the mari tali because hektish is tali in the das of the owner, like the pasuk says in Vayikra Perich of Zayim pasuk Yidal. The ish ki yaktish is espeisoi and it's mashma that dafka it is chal b'daita and kavana and therefore hektish b'toyis is not chal. That's what you learn out from ish ki yaktish is beisoi. You learn out that it's dafka medas and bekavana, and dafka b'maisik gezeres hakasav. There is kar if it's kar b'tois asir chi. Specifically over there, it's chal, and like you see, Beis Hillel said in the Mishnah that if he calls the 12th one asir or the 8th one, then it's not chal. So you see, specifically as a gezeres hakasav dafka on in that case. Okay, brand new Mishnah. Let's get right to it. Talk to Mishnah. Misha another Nazir. If someone's become on a Nazir on himself, and v'halach l'havias behemdai. So guys become on Naziris, and he had in mind that he's going to be makriv at the end of his Naziris the animals that he had at the time that he was Nazir, that he made the Naziris. V'halach, and he went in the middle of his Naziris l'havias behemdai. To be makdish it for his karbanas, and he finds that his animals were stolen, not there anymore, and because of that he has charata. Why did I become a nazir? I don't even have the behemoths to bring his karbanas anymore. So he comes to a chacham to be shoyal on his naziris. And he tells the chacham, had I known that it was going to get stolen, I would not have made a naziris because I don't have money now to buy karbanas. So if before his animals got stolen he made Naziris, then the Chacham cannot be matter him Altus Pesach, because this whole Geneva only happened after his Makam Naziris. And he can't make a Pesach b'noiled. It's considered noiled, it's only born afterwards, this whole excuse. Rather you say, Harezeh Nazir. Guys, it has to continue on and be a Nazir. What happens if it was stolen first the animal and he did not know about it, and then he was Nazir, and now he's coming to have charata, and he tells the Chacham, had I known that it was stolen, I would have never made the nether. Then Allah was any Nazir, because the Geneva happened before the Kabbalah Naziris. And that's called a good charata, and the Chacham in this case could be matter as Naziris. It's considered a Naziris B'tais. It's considered a legitimate Naziris B'tais. Zok the Gemara, Zok the Mishnah weiter, V'zu tos ta nacham amadi. And this was the toys that Nacham Amadi made a mistake, because he held that you could be mater on Neder and Naziris with Noilad. It was something that happened after Naziris, for instance, if it got stolen later on. Kisha'olu Nazirim and Agoyla, it happened when Nazirim came up from Goyla to Yerushalayim, to be makar their karbanos at the end of Naziris. And they were makam on Naziris before the Churban Beis HaMikdash, umatzu Beis HaMikdash charb. And then by the time the Naziris came to the end, they came up to Yerushalayim and they saw in Beis HaMikdash was charb. But they didn't, at the beginning of Naziris, Beis HaMikdash was still around. And Lamaisa now wasn't there anymore, they couldn't be makar their karbanos and to finish their Naziris. And because of that, they would be in Nazirim forever. They would be stuck. So they came in front of Nachum HaMadi that he should matter in Naziris. So Amar Lahem Nachum HaMadi told these Nazirim, had you known that it was also to get destroyed, he wouldn't be able to bring your Naziris. Would have you been Mekabel Naziris on himself? Amru loy. So they told him, no, of course not. V'tiru Nachum HaMadi and his matir from Naziris that they don't have to bring any karbanas. And that's mamash a case of Noilad, because the whole Churban only happened after the Mekabel Naziris. When the story came from the Chum, they said it's not the halacha. Rather, Kol Shenazar Shelichar Beis Hamikdash. Anybody that made Naziris before the Churban Beis Hamikdash, Nazir still is a Nazir, and is Nazir Olam. B'Shechar Beis Hamikdash, if it's after Churban Beis Hamikdash, if he made it after Churban Beis Hamikdash, and let's say he didn't know the Churban Beis Hamikdash happened, he was on another part of the world or whatever, ain't a Nazir, because that's considered Nazir. It's because it's not Noilad. That's considered a legitimate Charata, and such a Naziris, a Chacham could be Shailan, could be Matter. Zok the Gemara. Amar Rabba said, Shetafu Rabbanon Rabbi Lezer. Rabbanon, they kind of changed Rabbi Lezer's Shita. It means Rabbi Lezer first held, you could make a Pesach B'Noilid, V'ukmayim B'Shita Sayu. And then after that, he agreed with Shitas Rabbanon that you can't make a Pesach B'Noilid. Why? Because Rabbi Lezer was at the time of the Churban. Like it's Mvur in Gittin Daf Nanvam and Aleph. And when the Maisa happened, when Nachum HaMadi, that he made a Pesach B'Noilid, and the Chacham told him that he made a mistake, Rabbi Lezer didn't say anything. So it was muchach from that he was choizer from what he held, and he agreed. That's how the Rosh and Taisus learn. So Zok the Gemara, Tanad, the Mishnah says in Darim the Samach Darim and Alv, Poischin B'Noilid. You can make a Pesach on a neder, even with something that's noiled afterwards. Divrei Rebbe Lezer, that's Shittas Rebbe Lezer. Chachamim, however, they aser. They hold that you cannot be Pesach b'noiled in an excuse that came up after the neder. Amar Rava, Zok the Gemara. Afal gav the Amar Rabbanon ein Pesach b'noiled. Even the Rabbanon say you cannot be Pesach b'noiled. Aval Pesach b'tanai noiled. They agree, the Rabbanon, that you could make a Pesach on a Tanai that's totally a Noilid. Zok the Gemara, hey Chidami, what are we talking about? Amri Lahoin, Ilu Asa Inish V'Amar Lachoin. If the Chacham that are being matir in the Naziris, that the Nazirim were Makabel before the Churban, so if they tell the Nazirim, Ilu Asa Inish V'Amar Lachoin, if someone would come at the time that you're making the neder, and we'll give you an eitzah, you should not be Mekabel Naziris, the Chara Beis Hamikdash, because maybe the Beis Hamikdash would be Chara, and you're going to be stuck, and those are Olam. Mi Hava Nadrisin, would have you made your Naziris? And the Nazirim told the Chachamim that no, we would have not been Mekabel Naziris. In that case, let the Gemara, Chachamim Amaskim, that you can Pesach in the neder with Noilid, even though it's Tali and something that would come later on. They're saying, if the Beis Hamikdash got destroyed. So the Gemara, no, they agree that that's not a problem of making a Pesach b'Noilid. Amar of Yosef, Dr. of Yosef, Yav Hasam, if I would have been at the time that the Chachamim told us Tanach HaMadi, Have Amin Lahoin, I would have told the Chachamim back, Haksiv, it says in a pasuk in Yirmiyah, Parag Zayin, pasuk Dalid, that Yirmiyah was giving Musar to the Risham that they would be Messiah for Peronius, and he told them, Al tiftu lachem al divrei hashekar lemar heicha Hashem, heicha Hashem, heicha Hashem hema. Says Dr. of Yosef, what's pshat? It says heicha Hashem 3 times. So he was telling them, the first 2 times he was telling them Zeh Mikdash Rishon and Mikdash Sheni. That the Rishon would say that if Hashem would be machir, the first Beis HaMikdash will build another Heichal, which is the second one. And the third time it says Heichal Hashem, they were saying that if the second one gets destroyed, we'll even build the third one in Beis HaMashiach. So you see from the pasuk l'chayra that they know, they see that they knew that Beis Hamikdash was asur l'chariv. So l'chayra b'zoy, the churban is not considered a davar anoiled. L'chayra could be matter. So Yosef is saying, that's what I would have answered the Nazir, the Chacham that told Nachman Hamadi that he's being Pesach b'noiled. So the Gemara, no, Gematchis. That's where Yosef's taina. The Hida Yadin Lahain, the Yichur of Miyad Lemesai, even though they knew it was Asur Lichara, it was going to be destroyed, but Lamaisa did not know when, and therefore you can't say that because of that they would have been hesitant in Mekabel Naziris. Because it's God's Yitachin that it could be in a few hundred years from the day of Mekabel Naziris. So there's no reason to say that it's that. Amar Abaya, V'loyadin le'emas, did they taka not know when the basement he's trying to be Me'ashav of Yosef, that maybe, how can you tell me they didn't know when it was going to be destroyed? But Ksiv, it says, Daniel, Parak Tes, Pasuk Chavdal, Shavuim, Shivim, Nechtach al Amcho al Ir Kachecha, Lechale Apesha, Ulahosim Chatas, Lechaper Omen, Lahavi Tzedek Alamim, V'lachtem Chazam Enavi, L'Meshach Chedesh Kadashim. So what do you see from there? That it was Nigzar 7 Shmitas, which is 490 years. 70 Shmitas, which is 490 years. Between the Churban Beis Hamikdash Harishon and the Churban Bayis Sheni. So you see that there was a certain amount of years on it. So you see they knew when the Churban Beis Hamikdash Sheni would be. So the Chayr, it's not Naila. It's like Gemara, Vakati miyadini mehi yoma. L'chayra, they still did not know which day of the year would be Charav. Beginning of the year, the end of the year, and since they didn't know, that information is considered Nailed. Melee cannot make a Pesach with that, based upon that. Because again, it's Yitachin that he could have been made in Naziris 30 days, and he would have had 8 months left to the year, and the whole Churban would only have the end of the year. Okay, Zok the Mishnah weiter. Hoyu mahalchem b'derech. If there were 6 people, and they were traveling all together, like you see in the Hemshech of the Mishnah that's talking about 6 people, we'll see the case. The echad ba connected, and one person walking towards them, and none of these 6 people walking knew who it was. Amar echad mehen, and one of the people said, I think it's so and so walking. Hareini Nazir, and I'm going to be a Nazir if it's taka true, if it's in the spar that it's taka that guy. The echad amar, and another person of the 6 says, it's not him, it's not that person that you're saying it is. Hareini Nazir, and if I'm correct, if it's like me, then I'm a Nazir. And then another guy says, Hareini Nazir, she'echad mikem Nazir. The third person comes along and says, the third person that's walking along with them says, if it's true that one of you guys are right, then I'll be a Nazir. If it's true like one of you guys of the first 2 and not like the other one of you 2. And the fourth one says, she'ein echad mikem Nazir. If it's true like one of you, that if it's true that none of you are right, and then the 5th one says, I'm a Nazir, Hareini Nazir, Sheshneichem Nazirim. If it's true like both of you will be Nazirim. And the 6th one tells all the first 5 that I'll be a Nazir, Shekulchem Nazirim, if you're all Nazirim. So basically, they're all being sicer each other, the things that they're saying, and it's not possible for them to really all be Nazirim based on what they're saying, the terms or what they want to, they need in order to be right, that they were wrong, that they're going to be Nazirim. So Mishameh says, Kulam Nazirim, that even though the whole Nazir is B'toyas and they're all being sicer each other, because the first 2 are being sicer each other, that's for sure, right? One saying, I'm right, the other one saying it's not him, and then the rest of them also. But we say that since they're only being telling Naziris because they think that they're right, but really they want to be Mekabel Naziris either way. Only the one that comes out that he's wrong. And his words do not come out right. Reb Tarfon Omer ein echamem nazir. The Gemara is going to explain this whole. Reb Tarfon Omer ein echamem nazir, not one of them is Naziris, because Naziris is only chal when the noider, the one being Makabal and Naziris, knows at the time of the Kabbalah Naziris that he could be a Nazir. But it's being Makabal Naziris on a Tanai, so it's not clear at the time of the Kabbalah Naziris that the Tanai is going to be the Skyim. The Melu is Akter B'tar from Naziris and Lachal, and over here, in this case, it's not clear to any of them at the time that they're making Makabal Naziris that if he's right or if he's wrong. He doesn't know. So therefore, none of them is Nazir. Hertia la'chayrav. What happens, Dr. Mishnah? The person that was coming towards them, he just turned around and went away. And Lamaisa, nobody ever knows who he was, and nobody will know. Halacha is ain't a Nazir. Everybody agrees not one of them is a Nazir. Why? Because now it's a suffix, and we say a person does not get himself into a suffix, and in each one of Kalman Naziris it was only on das that maybe there'll be an var or something, but since it's not shaykh in this bar, it's a suffix. We say that nobody wants to become a Nazir based upon those facts. Reb Shimon says that no, suffix Naziris you have to be a machamer, and each person has to be a Nazir and a suffix. Just that he can't bring karbanis at the end of his years, he can't be megaleach because maybe he'll bring chulin lazara. So therefore, with a masakin, that each person should make a tanai afterwards, and yoyimar should say haya kadvari. If it was taka in the sky like me, then whatever I did should be al nazir schayva because I was chayav to be a nazir imam lav, and if it was not, I mean nazir nedava. So I just did it because of I was in a dava. It was nearest a dava, but it wasn't al tzchayva because taka wasn't chayav. And in Mela, he could bring a naziris he could bring karbanis and galech afterwards because of manashach. Either he's a nazir chayva or he's a nazir dava, and in Mela he would be able to bring karbanis in that case.